What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and it's so rare nowadays that in the world of business and marketing and all the PR bullshit that these companies come out with, most places never tell it like it is, and they just give you bullshit maybe answers and non-answers and workarounds to avoid answering the question. So when you hear some stuff like recently when the guy who's developing the game published by EA called A Way Out, when he was disappointed that modern consoles like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were essentially 5-year-old mid-range PCs, which we've known for 5 years now, and he says that they're holding gaming back as a whole. It's very refreshing to hear that, because it's so rare you hear someone in the industry speak so candidly, because as truthful and hurtful to some people's egos as that is, it's just the straight truth. Now, here's another instance of when, well, the truth hurts and someone is actually speaking bluntly in the business world for a change, which is something that is all too rare nowadays, especially when it comes to big corporations like EA, Nintendo, and someone like Activision. So, what am I talking about anyway? Well, recently, just the other day, on Reddit, they were holding an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything if you're not familiar with it. So usually a game developer or a voice actor or an actor or some type of personality, maybe a YouTuber or just whoever it is, they officially get on Reddit. It's all organized with Reddit and all as well, so it's legit. And a couple of guys from Sledgehammer Games, some of the actual development team, as well as studio co-founder Michael Condrey. So he's a pretty influential and important figure when it comes to Sledgehammer Games. They all got in a Reddit AMA regarding Call of Duty and Sledgehammer Games just in general. Now, when it comes to all of this, they were asked multiple questions by multiple different people, but one question in particular stands out. And that question was asked by someone named the PC Gaming Noob. What he had to say was, yes or no, is Call of Duty World War II coming to Nintendo Switch? To which Sledgehammer Games replied, no. So there it is, straight up confirmation that Call of Duty World War II will not be coming to Nintendo Switch. If you remember, I made a video back when Call of Duty World War II was properly announced about the exclusion of Nintendo Switch, because like it or not, regardless of what you care or don't care about the series, whatever it is, Call of Duty is one of the two biggest gaming franchises that releases every year. The other, of course, being FIFA. But the point is, a new Call of Duty game will come out every year. Sure, sometimes they look a bit lackluster in comparison to previous games or to the previous game or whatever it is, but they still go on to sell multiple millions of copies across all the platforms: Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Not to mention the ridiculous amounts of money that they're going to drum up in microtransaction sales. So the fact that, once again, we all know Call of Duty World War II is confirmed by the developer of the game that it will not be coming to Nintendo Switch. Because when this game first launched, or well, this game was first announced, I should say, you had all the Nintendo fans. No, let me rephrase that. You didn't have the Nintendo fans. You had the Nintendo fanboys. And they were all saying the same thing. Oh, Call of Duty always gets announced for Nintendo Switch or Nintendo consoles later. Look at Black Ops 2. Look at all these other ones. Oh, it'll be announced at E3. E3 rolls around. I believe, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, I think over the entire Nintendo press release thing, there was one third-party game. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe there was one third-party game in the main Nintendo Direct conference thing, and everything else was first-party or the loosely coined second-party. But where was your Call of Duty announcement then? And then once that passed us by, the same Nintendo fanboys were just saying the same type of thing. It'll be announced later. It's always announced later. And now that it's confirmed by the co-founder of the studio that is developing the game, they are now saying, oh, well, we don't need it. You know, Call of Duty is garbage. No one cares. Nothing of value was lost. It's not that simple, people. Okay? regardless of what you think about Call of Duty, personally, I don't really care about Call of Duty. The only reason I ever played them lately, I say lately, I usually is like maybe once every 2 years, is usually because it's afforded to me in extremely cheap, and I'll buy it that way, or I'll buy it like through a game sharing not buy it, but I'll play it through a game sharing program on maybe like the Xbox or the PlayStation or whatever that one of my friends has. But here's the thing that a lot of these people don't seem to understand and don't seem to grasp. That no matter what I think of the Call of Duty series, even if I hate it, which, to be honest, I don't hate it, I just don't enjoy it, it's just there and I kind of ignore it, it doesn't affect me. Regardless of what the series does or doesn't do, it doesn't affect me. And I don't see why these people don't understand that. But the point I'm making is, it's basically, I'm gonna cliff notes it because it's essentially the same point I made in the previous video about this whole same topic, is that now that Call of Duty World War II is confirmed not to be coming to Nintendo Switch, what does that say for third-party support? For the simple reason is, as I mentioned, one of the two biggest games every year is not coming to Nintendo Switch. Let's say that again. One of the two biggest franchises that launches and sells millions and millions and millions of copies every year and makes millions and millions and millions of euro and dollars in microtransactions every year is not coming to Nintendo Switch. A brand new console released in 2017, but it is coming to previous consoles which released 4 years ago. Now, you may be wondering why that is. Well, it's essentially down to one simple thing, and that is power. It's that simple. It is just the Switch is simply not powerful enough to run this game. And you can argue it's like, oh well, Call of Duty is never extremely visually advanced. It's not the point. When you look at what you see and what you get in a Call of Duty game, the Switch cannot do that. It's that simple. And we're seeing this in all types of other developers too. Whereas all these other big companies with their equivalent third-party support of games that are coming to Xbox One, games that are coming to PlayStation 4, games that are coming to PC, that are not coming to Nintendo Switch. Because they're everywhere. Those games are everywhere. Those ones that are coming to everything else, but not Nintendo Switch. And I'm just going to leave it with one last point here as well. That once again, no matter what you think of the game, of the series, of whatever, even if you don't play it, even if you don't buy it, how can you logically defend a console that that requires this kind of defense, essentially? For the simple reason is because of the company's choices that they're excluding games and excluding developers and publishers from bringing games to their system. Because when it comes down to it, someone is going to say, oh, I want to buy a new console. What do I want to get? I can buy an Xbox where I can play Halo, Gears, Forza, as well as this huge library of third-party games. Or I could buy a PlayStation and I could play the games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War. I was drawing a bit of a blank on Sony franchises there, as well as this huge library of third-party games. Or I can buy a Nintendo Switch where I can play Nintendo games and basically nothing else. And it may not appeal, or that whole situation may not apply to you and you don't care, but at the end of the day, that is your average casual consumer. And there's far more casual average consumers than there is hardcore gamers like people like us, because for every one of us, there's probably about 1,000 just standard casual gamers. And at the end of the day, they're going to drive up the sales. How many people do you think own Xbox Ones or PlayStation 4s that buy maybe 1 or 2 games a year? Hell, I know people out there that literally buy 1 game on their system a year. I know people out there that will just buy FIFA every year and they don't have a single other game. They've had Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s since 2013 and they have about 4 or 5 games. All of which are FIFA, all of which are Madden, whatever it is. It's the point out there is there are casual gamers that do this. And on the flip side too, I know other gamers that only have 1 or 2 games a year as well. Those games, Call of Duty and Battlefield every year. Call of Duty and Battlefront every year. Well, that's just Star Wars Battlefield at the end of the day. But you see my point. These games sell multiple millions of copies. on multiple different consoles that they actually release on. It hurts the Switch even if it doesn't hurt you personally. And everything that hurts the Switch will eventually lead to hurting you personally. Because just because Activision or whoever, Square Enix, they don't bring their Final Fantasy, or, well, you could list basically anyone. You know, EA don't bring Anthem, EA don't bring whatever, Ubisoft don't bring Assassin's Creed, whatever it is. At the end of the day, there's going to be less and less games from less and less publishers, from less and less developers, and you're going to get your smaller indie-style niche titles rather than your actual games that will sell the system, because if the system sells more, companies will want to put out bigger and better games with more investment on it. And that, of course, is a good thing. But we're not going to see that because, well, we're on the downside of it, unfortunately. So where do you stand on this whole Nintendo Switch, no Call of Duty World War II debate or debacle, whatever it is? Are you in the same camp as me, as that it doesn't bother me in the sense that I wouldn't have bought it, well, I wouldn't have bought the game anyway, but I wouldn't have bought it on Switch as it was? And do you see my logic behind it, that it hurts the Switch in general, and it hurts the future of the Switch in general, and the potential sales in general, because who knows how the sales will actually go at this point. So do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Don't ask me why anyone would think it's a good thing, but where do you sit on it? I want to know all your opinions on the whole weird situation behind it, and the definitive no from Sledgehammer Games in the comments section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.